Welcome back to another episode of the Boat Boss, where we sit down each week and we talk about living, working, and playing on the water with some of the most amazing individuals around the globe. My name is Kim Sweers and I am the host of Boat Boss, and today we are on location at the world famous Intrepid Powerboats in Largo, Florida, and we are beyond excited to welcome back Ken Clinton to the Boat Boss.
I'm happy to be back. Last time we did this, we did it at Fort Lauderdale Boat Show.
That's right.
It was fun. It was a great
We were
time.
on a 477 Evolution.
We were.
And you actually debuted two boats at that show.
Yeah, 438 and the 409 Valley.
That's right, that's right. Well, I'm excited. We're here at Intrepid to talk about one of your newest models, which is the 427 Nomad FE, correct?
Yes, correct. That's going to be the next boat for us to debut. We're in the early part of the build, so I'm able to show you kind of the nuts and bolts on how it all goes together, and we're in the early phases, so it'll be cool.
I'm really excited to see the build, so guys, you're in for a great treat. Let's go check it out. So Ken, what is going on here?
So this is our CNC department, and this is our CNC Eastman. This is kind of where the process all begins. We take all the glass and we have it digitized, and it's cut per part. So if it's a hull, a line, or a deck, yes, and label. What's nice is it has an inkjet, so it allows us to label everything and put it in boxes, and a material handler will come along and take it to the glass shop. And then when they start putting it together, it'll all make sense because it's kind of like a map. You know, so this is where all the glass for all the fiberglass parts we build come from. What a lot of people don't realize is this starts off as a barrel of resin and a roll of cloth, and a boat comes out the end. So this is the very beginning.
Well, exciting stuff. Well, let's see how it progresses. Let's go to the next station.
Sounds good.
All right, Ken, what is going on in this station?
So this is a continuation of the CNC department. We have 3-axis routers, 5-axis mills. So we cut everything here from the foam core that goes in the fiberglass parts to Corian countertops, plexi hatches, and then we also do some of the tooling. If you walk over here, you'll see this is one of the 5-axis machines that's actually working on one of the molds for the 427.
This is a new model we speak on, the 427 Nomad.
Yep, so this is the new model, and this is going to actually be, believe it or not, which is really hard to see looking at the condition that it's in right now, but this is going to be the sliding console door that goes on the front.
The forward entry.
Correct. So what we do is we use blocks of core, we use putty, and we build mass. Then once we get the mass, the size that we need it to be, we cut it based on a program that was made from a Rhino drawing of that particular part. And when we're finished with this, it's going to be the plug that we'll make the mold from.
How many manufacturers are actually doing this in-house?
Not many. It's a big investment. You know, there's so many other places out there that you can go to have it done. And there's companies that you can just send the computer programs to, and they can just send you the tooling back. The reason I don't do that is because I change things a lot, you know, and I think you have to be able to touch it, feel it, sit on it, and know what you're getting. A drawing is great, but this is reality.
Absolutely. Well, I'm excited to see how this progresses.
Sure.
Let's check it out.
So if we go down here further, this is where we're going to get into some of the small parts. We do everything here from bait wells and fish boxes. All this part of the facility is hand laid. So when I say hand laid, it's all individual layers of cloth, wet with resin, and rolled out. Some of them.
And pretty much everything you do is in-house.
Yeah, well, pretty much. I don't do tops. I buy fuel tanks out of house. But other than that, yeah, we pretty much do everything.
You really do control the quality of the build.
Yeah, I think having that control is important. You know, when you know what you want and you want to ensure it's everything that it's supposed to be, being able to keep it in-house is a really nice way to do it. So this area is one of the areas that we do much differently than others. And this is where we build consoles. And this is where we do a lot of the split tooling that you've seen before.
Right. So Ken, this is your console area. This is where the magic happens.
Yeah.
Walk us through what's going on here.
Sure, what we do here is we build consoles with split tooling, which is much different than everybody else, and I'll show you why. When you take this tooling and you split it off in all these different sections to create all this different shape, it creates all of these seams. Even though structurally it's all one piece, you have to refinish the entire part. So there's tons of labor that goes into it, but we're able to build parts with so much shape, you know, more so than anybody else out there. It's really nice.
So explain to me what's going on here versus what other manufacturers do.
Sure, so this is a recessed battery switch compartment on the side of a console. Traditionally, you would see most manufacturers out there that would have this flat wall, it wouldn't have all this shape in it. Then if they wanted to do a recessed compartment like this, they would cut a hole in the side, they would build a box with a flange, they would slide the flange box in, put a screw in each corner, caulk around the perimeter, and do a plexi door on the front. And to me, that's just unsatisfactory. It's easy, aesthetically, it does nothing for me. To be able to make all of this flush fit, one piece, and then put a fiberglass door that's finished on both sides is the way to do it, you know. It really is.
That's definitely what sets you guys apart.
Yeah. So next, I'll take you over to Infusion.
Great.
So this is our Infusion Building, and this is going to be the new top for the 427 Nomad SE.
It's massive.
Yeah, it is. You know, with the beam being 12.8 on the 427, it allows us to be able to get a wider top. And the other thing that we're going to do is we tooled in a compartment on the aft side of it for the electric aft sunshade, so it doesn't look like an afterthought. It's going to be built right into the top when we do it.
That's going to be a standard feature now.
Yeah.
Just like the dive door.
Yep. I think it makes a lot of sense to be able to just put it in there from a design standpoint, so that way you're not trying to figure out how to do it later, because it's such a popular option.
So most of your clients are probably going to thank you for doing it.
Yeah. And well, when we were younger, none of us knew that we had to stay out of the sun. Now everybody knows.
So what's the size difference, the width from a standard top with Intrepid?
Yeah, probably this one's going to be, compared to like the 40 Nomad series, this is probably another 1.5 to 2 feet wider.
Wow.
Yeah, you know, and you'll also see on the console that with that additional beam, we were able to get some width there too. That over there is the deck mold for the 427, which is the mold that we made the first deck out of, which you'll see over in the assembly building. This, once again, is infused. You'll see that the process that they're doing right next door to us is the same process that was used to build the 427. So basically what we do is we wax the entire mold, we do 27 mils of gel coat, 1.5 ounces matte, then we'll take all the material that you saw that was on the Eastman, and we're gonna glue it all in place, and then we'll bag it and we'll do the infusion process at that point.
And how long does this process take for the most part?
It takes a few days to get everything in place, and then the actual infusion process itself, once you pull the trigger with catalyzed resin, is probably only half an hour.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it goes pretty quick. It's the setting up, the staging of it,
course.
that's really where the time-consuming part comes in. And as we go this way, I'll show you the mold that the center console came out of. So once again, split tooling, multiple pieces. We took it a little bit further this time where, because every time we come out with a new model, next level. So
Raising the bar.
yeah, exactly. So that mold is over here, and you'll see it's big. It's a really large, once again, because of the additional beam.
It's huge.
Yeah, it really is. So you'll see all of these seams where all the different pieces come apart, and that's to be able to get this part that has all of this shape out. So this side comes off, that comes off, this comes off. It all splits apart to expose the part itself that's inside. The uprights for the windshield all have carbon fiber in it, so we're able to keep the structure strong, rigid, yet light. So the vertical center of gravity doesn't get off kilter, because if you build boats and you get heavy up high, they end up being wanting, to want to lean port to starboard. So, a lot of thought goes into it during the design process.
So Intrepids are known for their strength.
Mm-hmm.
What would you attribute that statement to? Like, is it from the foundation, like what you're talking about right now?
Yeah.
What makes it so strong?
Well, it all really started back in the 90s, but even in the 80s, where the tender market was a market that nobody wanted, because you dragged a boat behind a 180-foot boat, it got destroyed. So nobody wanted the warranty issues. Well, we were a very small company just trying to get off the ground, and we said, look, there's an opportunity there for a market that nobody wants. Nobody wants to build these tenders. So we said, you know what, we'll just make sure that we build a boat that's really stout, that can take a beating, and we'll take this little part of market share that nobody wants. So we did that, and then we decided, you know what, we're just gonna build every single boat the same way. Every boat's gonna be built like a tender to be able to take that kind of punishment. And that's something that we've just stayed with true and true. So, you can go out and buy an Intrepid, any Intrepid, even if it doesn't have a tow package or set up to be a tender, and you can put a tow package on it, and it's not built any differently. It's built to take that kind of punishment.
What's the old saying, you know, to predict the future, you create it.
Yeah,
Good
for
job
sure.
on that.
Yeah, good stuff. So now what we'll do is we'll head over and I'll show you our hull building. So this is our hull building, and we build all our hulls with the same type of infusion process. So they'll come in, wax it, gel it, put all the dry fabric in, and then we'll pull resin through it. Big benefits from infusion, saving weight. Being able to have the reduction of weight in a hull, a liner, a deck, a console, then turns into a performance difference. Not only in speed, fuel economy, and it's something that from a quality standpoint really can't be beat.
So how many miles an hour are you actually gaining by this process?
Sure, it really depends on the size of the boat because it's different weight for different sizes, but we've seen gains of 3 to 4 miles an hour on some of the larger boats, and the fuel burns make a big difference. Plus, yeah, what we found is as the boats evolve and technology evolves, people are putting more and more stuff on these boats. So you're looking at boats that now have gyros and stern thrusters and 11 kW generators. So being able to offset that weight with this construction process, which is not only stronger and better, it allows the boat to be able to hold that much more.
Absolutely, you're able to ensure the performance of the boat by doing that. Well, great job on that.
Yeah, no, it's cool. And
that's awesome, you guys.
I'll take you over to the assembly building next, and you can actually see some parts that are in process on the 427. So this is our assembly building, and what we're walking into right now is the beginning process of where we're putting together the new 427 SE right now. And that's what we have up here.
This is it right here.
Yep, this is it. So
exciting stuff.
We've got a hull that's in here. We've just got the deck pulled and we brought it over. We got it trimmed and we're doing the initial fit for it right now.
So what is different about the transom? We were talking about that.
Yeah, it's much different than anything that we've ever done before. Usually, over the last 30 years, all of my transom or motor well caps have been part of the deck. So basically, when you would look at our deck, it would come down and would sit on top of the motor well itself where the engines are bolted onto. What I've done this time is we've taken the transom and we've incorporated an insert that allows us to keep the hull one solid piece all the way up to the shear line. So it does a few different things. Honestly, the first reason why I wanted to do it is I wanted to sexy up the transom of the boat. We were going through the drawings near the completion of the project, and I was looking at the transom and I said, man, I haven't changed this in 30 years. I've never done anything with it. So being able to make that something that's much more attractive, then add it's even stronger. Not that we ever had an issue before, but if you can make something more beautiful and stronger, it's a win. So being able to take the technology of the inserts that we do in our tooling and apply it to the hull mold is really cool.
So talk about the new motors, the 600, horsepower for Mercury.
Sure.
Was that part of your design process?
Yeah, actually when we decided to design this boat, right from the get-go, this was set up for being able to do the heavier motors. Those Mercury V12 600s are 1,300 pounds a piece. So I wanted to get more beam. So going to this hull bottom, which is a bottom from a 438 Evolution, it gave me a 12'8" beam. So I'll be able to carry that kind of displacement. I'll be able to not only do triple 600s, if I decide that I wanted to go to a quad 450 Mercury package, I'll be able to do that as well. So having that transom change make a big difference, and then having that additional beam, which you'll see on the console, it really adds to the boat. It's a big, beamy center console that'll allow you to get a lot more equipment, fish easier, better seating. So it's got a lot of good things going for it.
Definitely a lot more real estate on there.
Yeah, it really is.
Let's go check it out.
Sure, come on up.
All right, so we are actually on the 427 Nomad right now, FE. So Ken, walk us through what we see right now. What's going on?
So this is going to be about like a hybrid of several different boats. Starting up at the bow section, we've taken the traditional Nomad setup of the forward seating with electric backrest, and we're going to have the storage behind the backrest. So that way we use every inch. When you go back from the bow a little bit, you'll see that we have a tall locker and a short locker. And that's because we're going to do fender storage in the tall lockers. And there was still an area behind it that had value. So I'm going to put a big drawer there for storage. I showed a few customers what I was thinking because I want to use that space, and they'd love the idea. It'll have the high-low table also in the bow seating area, so it'll come up from the floor to a filler or a table. Then you'll come back a little bit more. There'll be a full-size sun pad and fish box. So it's an above deck box that holds tons of ice for fish. It has a sun pad on top with electroating backrests on it. So it's funny because I get the requests all the time. My wife wants a place to lay out and read, but I need a fishing boat. Right. So give me a fishing boat without screwing that up and giving her what she wants.
And I've been here, you've done that.
Yeah, so that's something that really works well. We come further back, we'll have the center console there, which is gonna have a head in the underside of it with a front entry, and that's that door that we saw that was getting machined over in tooling. You'll come a little bit further aft, and you'll have the cabinet that's gonna go behind the helm seat, which you'll be able to do a bunch of different things. Grill, sink, cutting board.
The way the client wants it.
Exactly. You know, you'll be able to have some flexibility. You're gonna also be able to have appliances underneath it. In some cases, they want tackle centers. It's basically your canvas to paint on. You let me know and we'll do it. You roll back a little bit more, and we have our traditional dive door here. And here we have the hull side platform from the 477 Evolution. So that's gonna be a hydraulic platform that drops down. And then back here, bait walls in each corner with windows. We're gonna have the built-in rod rack that goes across the transom, and then your triple or quad application engine on the back.
So there, I heard 4 models. You incorporated the Nomad SE FE, the 477, and the 438.
Yeah, it's literally a hybrid of a bunch of different boats. And it really started from a conversation with a customer at a boat show. You know, we were at the Fort Lauderdale Boat Show. I had a 407 Nomad FE on one side and I had an SE on the other. And the customer was sitting there saying, and he was cherry picking. He was literally standing on the catwalk between the two boats and saying, I want this, this, and this from that model, and this from that model. And I decided to do it as a one-off. I said, you know what, I'll build you a custom 40 and I'll splice it all together because that's what we do. And on my drive back from the boat show, I really started thinking about, you know, maybe this should be a new model. You know, maybe if I gave it more beam, I could also solve some other conversations of, can you go to quads? And, you know, can you give me 3 wide seating with better protection? And that's really what we get from the boat shows. It's a place for me to mine data. You know, I get to meet everybody that's part of the Intrepid Nation, and they tell me all the things they like, the things they didn't like, the things they wish we would do. And I take all that and bring it back here, and that's how the 427 is born.
That's fantastic. So there's one client that started. I'd like to give a shout out to that client.
Yeah.
It's Bill
Chapin.
So
Yeah.
Bill, great job. I'm excited to see where this goes.
Yeah, I think, you know, when you look at our customer base, the Intrepid Nation that we have out there, they're the true designers. Don't get me wrong, it's myself and the team that have to figure out how to make it happen, and we always try to figure out a way to also elevate it. But they are the ones that come to us and they tell us what they want, and we make their dreams come true.
It's really the most unorthodox research and development and customer retention when you think about it. I mean, a client can call you, text you, email you, FaceTime you, whatever, and say, Ken, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
And then you take it from there.
Yeah. Actually, one of the customers that you brought to us, Matt Zucker, has recently sent me a Facebook Messenger message saying, hey, can you take a 407 Panacea console and put it in a 475 Panacea? And I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll make it happen. So yeah, there's all kinds of different communication that we get from our customers, and they kind of dictate which way we go. You know, we've had different transitions with different ownership throughout the years, and usually a new group will come in and they'll say, Ben, we want a 5-year plan, and they don't get that it doesn't work that way. You know, our customers take us from one boat show to the next. We'll totally change the next model that I'm going to come out with because of feedback from them.
And you're what, 40 models now from inception of the company?
Yeah, probably 40 to 50 models over all the years that I've been here, you know, and it's all different iterations of our customers' ideas.
Well, hats off to you and your team for, you know, making dreams a reality.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Well, it's a great gig. You know, to be able to come here and build kick-ass boats all day long and make people happy and give them a vessel that creates memories for a lifetime, just to be a part of that's huge.
Well, it allows a client to voice, you know, their opinion in an open forum, in a comfortable setting, and you know, that's what you've done. Hats off to also Frank Pupo, who did the stereo
speaker box.
Thought that was really cool.
Yeah, and it was funny because we went back and forth with him, and he asked to tweak it more and tweak it more. So, you know, he really put his personality into it. And that's a speaker pod on the underside of a fiberglass hardtop that we've done now several times over. So his input had value.
Great. Well, congrats to the entire Intrepid Nation family, inside and out, for just being open and honest about what they want.
Yeah.
And the product speaks for itself.
Good stuff. So this is where we make all of these crazy ideas that not only we have internally, but our customers bring to us come reality. So this is our tooling department. We do all our own tooling in-house. And basically, anytime that you're gonna create any kind of a fiberglass part, you have to start with a plug.
Right.
A plug is gonna be an exact duplicate of the part you're trying to recreate. And you can make that out of fiberglass, you can make it out of plywood, putty, a combination of all of it. But when you finish, it's gotta be exactly what you want, because you're gonna make the mold off of that. So this is really where we prototype those things, because you have to figure out what you want it to look like, and how tall it's gonna be and how wide it's gonna be. And we still have some of the tooling projects finishing up in this area for the 427, and I can show you a few of the things here.
So is this the new console for the brand new model, the 427 Nomad?
It is. So what you're looking at here is the mock-up for it. And it's pretty cool because the wider 12/8 beam has allowed us to get a wider console. We're gonna have lots of room for screens, which is, you know, how electronics are.
Huge.
Yeah, getting bigger and bigger all the time, so that you've gotta be able to give a bunch of real estate for that. So between that and being able to bring a new detail in that I'm pretty excited about.
So how did this happen? I know it was your brainchild, you specifically.
Sure.
How did you come up with this?
So originally when we drew this detail, this brow was here. So it looked just like that, and it was just nothing more than a detail. You know, to be able to spice up the surface area. As you know, and you have one as well, I have a C8 Corvette, and I was driving in it, and I was looking at the switch panel, and the panel runs in a column, and I thought, wow, that's really cool. And it's user-friendly, and I just liked the whole concept, and I figured, how can I bring that into this? So I came in and I asked the guys, let's widen the brow to where we can make it just wide enough to where not only is it now a detail, it's a functional detail that we're able to put the switch panel in. So we have our switches, we have our labels, we're gonna powder coat this black, and it does a few different things. One, it allows us to get what would have normally been a switch panel that took up a bunch of surface area, and now it's up in an area that wouldn't have been used anyway. Not only that, if it's done logically, and we come off the center line, basically to make it to where you can find the buttons easier, we're gonna have port and starboard, forward and aft, so you can go bait wells, bilge pumps.
Common sense.
For sure, you know, being able to do that will make it to where you're not hunting for that switch. And if you have a bilge pump switch that's up here, it's gonna be in a place that if you're running the boat, you'll see it. Because look, let's face it, if you're taking on water for any reason, you're gonna wanna know. So being able to do that allows us to have more switches, and that would also free up more space down here between stern thrusters and bow thrusters and all the other controls that are happening, joystick controls. Having that real estate freed up makes a big difference.
It's not just fashion, it's function and safety. And when you think about, I know I've owned a lot of boats, and I'm a tall person. I'm always looking at, you know, down below for the switches. Now everything is front and center.
Yeah, it really does. And it modernizes it. I know how much I liked it when I used it in the Corvette. This is kind of our spin on it. And I think it's something that our customers are going to appreciate.
Well, I think Corvette is probably going to be hiring you at some point in your retirement.
Well, the funny part is, a friend of mine is the top engineer, or
Go figure.
yeah, you know, at Corvette. So it's been really cool to be able to pull in different ideas, and it's amazing where you get ideas from. It comes from all over the place. And next door to that is the mock-up for the Fiberglass Arch. So once again, for the 427, this is going to be the fiberglass arch legs. This is going to be the aft side of the helm seat cabin.
With all the different options you spoke of, grill, bar, whatever the client's looking for?
Yeah, this is the part where it's really your canvas to paint on. So you have a surface area here that's going to be done in a solid surface that you can do a grill, a sink, a cutting board, you name it, you can figure out, you know, how you want it done. Then on the back face of it, appliances can go here, drawer units can go here, tackle stations can go here, whatever you want to do. Then we'll have the helm seat on the forward side of it. So we're really excited about being able to offer this in a larger version. and it just opens up that many more doors from a design standpoint.
Well, as you say, it's one of a kind, one at a time.
Yeah.
So you sit down with a client, and let's talk about, as we talked about in our last episode, where you have a design meeting,
Yeah.
where all the players are on that call,
Yeah.
and you go over the order, and then the client gets a portal, if you will, where they can actually log in and see
The progress.
the progress.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
outstanding.
Yeah, my spin on that was I said I wanted to have a baby book, you know, and being able to have a baby book of your baby being born and
Right,
having it
yeah.
built through the different stages is really cool. Plus, not only does it keep the excitement level up after a long wait, it also becomes an important reference material later on.
Blueprint.
Yeah, you know, you're able to look and see underneath the cockpit console and know where the hose runs were and all the chases, and you know, so it has a bunch of different aspects to it that make a lot of sense. But I think the most important part of it is just knowing a customer lights up every time he gets another set of pictures sent to him.
Well, that's an exciting thing, and I think you were probably one of the first ones in the business that did that. So again, hats off to you.
Thanks.
So Ken, there is a massive shortage right now going on in the industry. Resin, motors, supply chain shortage. Can you tell us about that? Bring us up to speed on where we stand and how you're so successful, you know, getting through that period.
Yeah, trying to navigate through it is a day-to-day struggle. I'm proud to say that we've continued to do well. You know, it starts with being surrounded by a good team and being supported by fantastic vendors. You know, I think it's all about relationships and being able to have, you know, companies like NAC and Interplastics be able to ensure that we had the product that we needed to continue to move forward. Mercury Marine, those are different manufacturers and vendors that are able to keep 350 families here fed, you know, and that's huge, because that's, at the end of the day, we're supplying a product for our customer, but it's also, we recognize that it's something that nobody needs.
Yeah.
You know?
You actually, I remember listening to one of your interviews when it came out a while back. You talk about being a great customer yourself to your partners. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, I think it's important that, you know, during these times and these struggles that be a good customer, not only in the past but present. You have to be understanding. You know, when you watch lead times expand and when you watch, you know, other vendors struggle to get you product, I think being somebody that paid your bills early and always was understanding and helped them whenever they needed it, and was a customer during the downtimes when 2008, 2009, our industry was devastated.
Yeah.
And at most of that time, there was no manufacturers building boats, and you know, we were. I think the lowest my backlog got in 2009 was $29 million. So, you know, we were still buying resin, we were still buying fiberglass, we were still buying motors when nobody else was. So when, you know, things change and you know, now it's a time when they can reciprocate, you know, and they can help us when their struggle is there. So it's about relationships.
So, you know, that's very commendable, and I'll tell you, collaboration helps anyone scale their business and grow, you know, their organization, and you've done a great job at that, so hats off to you. Let's talk about Taiwan. You know, Taiwan factory burning down there, and then the big freeze in Texas.
Yeah.
What does the future look like for the resin and fiberglass?
Well, I don't know that anybody has a crystal ball, but I can give you an opinion based on some of the things that I've heard. You know, you touched on the factory in Taiwan. That supplied the world's epoxy for, I think 30% of the world's epoxy for vinyl ester resins. Then the mishap with the weather in Texas, it was another 30%. So that was like 60% that was eliminated right away. And what a lot of people don't realize is resin is used not just for boats. You know, if anything, recreational boating is on the bottom of the list. It's medical, it's construction. You know, so when you start thinking about how resin gets divvied up, recreational vessels are at the bottom of that list. So seeing that transformation happen and the struggle that it's been, I think one of the things that we've been able to do is make sure that we had just enough for what we needed to do, make sure that we're using it efficiently, using the infusion process. And I think looking forward, I think that in a couple months we should hopefully start being on the other side of this. I know that there's lots of manufacturers out there still with the struggle, and we do as well. I mean, we still, from week to week, just make it.
Well, you've done a good job of keeping those people happy, the relationships in good standing. So let's get back to the 427. the Nomad. When are we going to see that boat? When is she actually going to be launched?
Sure. So the goal has always been to make sure that we got it to our rendezvous. So we have an Intrepid rendezvous that we do at Hawks Cay, and that's July 16th through the 18th. We have a bunch of customers that are going to be there that are looking forward to seeing it, sea trialing it, and being able to see also the new Mercury V12 600s. It'll be their first opportunity to have them on an Intrepid. So there's a bunch of things that should happen in the mid-July.
You have a lot of work to do.
Oh yeah.
Well, I guess I should let you get back to work so that you can make sure that model is done. But we really appreciate your time today, Ken. It's been awesome having you back on the show. You are the first returning guest on the Boat Boss. So that's another first that you can add to your many lists of firsts.
No, it's great. We appreciate your interest in what we do, and we're excited to have you as a partner as well.
Well, great. Well, anyone interested in an Intrepid, you can reach out to the Boat Boss, Kim Swears, or to Ken Clinton at Intrepid, or any of his team members. And we need to get back to work. He needs to get back to work so he can get this boat done. So as I always sign off, define your dreams, go after them. And whether you live, work, or play on the water, just get on the water, because there's nothing better than a lifestyle on the water. So you have a great day. Have an epic month. Have an epic year. And guys, we'll see you on next week's Boat Boss.